Welcome to Hoystory on Air, Season 2, Episode 28. It is Monday, July 20th, 2026. I'm not sure how short it's going to be. We'll talk about it. I want to start out by giving kudos to Julie Watts over at CBS California Investigates. There was a Friday night document dump. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this kind of term in journalism, basically when a politician or someone in the media, usually it's politicians, sometimes it's celebrities, mainly politicians, when they want to get something released out there so they can say they released it, but they don't want it to get a lot of coverage, when they typically do that is Friday afternoon. Why do they do that? Well, because most journalists, at least the ones who've got enough experience and whatnot, enough time, work Monday through Friday, just like most normal business people do. Don't work weekends. That's the first part of it. So when I was in journalism a long time ago, Tuesday through Saturday was pretty common shift. Once you worked your way up enough, maybe you got the Monday through Friday. Or Sunday through Thursday might even be better. Worked Sunday through Thursday once when I was single. It's like, yay, I get Friday and Saturday nights off to date. Newsom did a document dump. So the first reason why is because, people won't notice. The second reason why is this kind of dates back to newspapers. And Saturday is generally the lowest circulation newspaper. Sunday's the highest. Monday through Friday are pretty much even. But Saturday, people are doing stuff Saturday. They don't necessarily read the newspaper. So it was a way to kind of avoid scrutiny. So last Friday night at 5:34 p.m., Newsom releases the documents on his baby-to-baby diaper deal, which he had announced well over 2 months ago. CBS California Investigates had put in requests. Hey, we want the documentation. They kept on stringing them along. So Friday night finally comes out. What did Gavin Newsom say about this contract? Here's a little clip from his press conference way back when.
We were able to get an appropriation in a year or so ago, went through a competitive bidding process, and here we are making this announcement.
Yeah, you heard that right. He said it went through a competitive bidding process. But, problem, it did not. When Governor Gavin Newsom announced Baby to Baby would manufacture and distribute millions of free California co-branded diapers to every new parent, he claimed the deal went through a competitive bidding process. State records reveal it didn't. Why is this kind of important? What's the background on this? For those of you who do not know, Baby to Baby, one of its co-CEOs, what's her name? I go back here. Nora Weinstein. She is the one on Newsom's right side wearing the white kind of dress. She is one of the co-CEOs of Baby to Baby. She is also on Gavin Newsom's wife's nonprofit board. Jennifer Siebel Newsom, the first partner, is on that board, and Weinstein there is on the board. The $6.2 million baby-to-baby deal was not competitively bid. And this is an update that they put up later that night. It says, hours after the story was first published, the state released the contract. 66 days after CBS California Investigates first requested it. The state also provided CBS California Investigates, and they haven't posted these online yet. Why, I don't know, or at least I can't find them. With responses from more than a dozen organizations that answered its request for information. They include Amazon, which proposed letting families order the diaper sizes they need delivered to their door. The governor's office, the state also provided a finalist recommendation report in which it says it met with all RFI respondents or organizations representing RFI respondents. At least one respondent, one of the nation's largest diaper bank networks, says it never got a meeting. There is a whole lot of lying going on. CBS California Investigates found more than 24 similar exemptions in the California's new state budget, totaling more than $1 billion in appropriations for programs ranging from, and here's the problem, the baby-to-baby thing, they're exempt from state contracting oversight. They gave this, and largely hidden from public view because they don't appear in California's public database of no-bid contracts. This is what they were trying to hide. For 2 months, the administration delayed providing those records. They look at this stuff, and they find out that they've been giving, baby-to-baby's been getting non-competitive contracts back to 2022. Who was in office in 2022? Still Gavin Newsom. State records label the baby-to-baby contract as non-competitively bid, despite the governor's public description of a competitive bidding process. He lied. Why did he lie? Why lie? Well, because there's this nexus between baby-to-baby and his wife's nonprofit. State law requires competitive bids with few legal exemptions. This contract didn't go through the normal exemption process, which requires justification and public disclosure. Instead, an exemption was buried in the state budget, waiving competitive bidding, oversight by the state contracting watchdog, and the public posting of no-bid contracts in the state database. It's at least baby-to-baby's third no-bid state contract. The first two listed baby-to-baby by name in the budget, but neither appears in the state's no-bid database. California is never identified in baby-to-baby's public tax filings. Government grants appear only as a single $2.5 million line item, and the federal contributor schedule is restricted from public view as federal law allows. Okay. But we're hiding stuff. We are not open. And here's the kicker. This is where you want to see why this is happening and how money is getting funneled to allies of the governor. Governor Newsom's 2025 budget funded the free diaper program at the expense of traditional diaper bank funding. He's like, oh, we're going to give this money to baby, and we're not going to give this money to all of these diaper banks for low income. Rich people don't go to diaper banks. That's low income. So we're going to take it away from low income. We're going to give it to baby. They're going to give 400 free ones to people regardless of their income levels, and get rid of the diaper bank funding. Lawmakers weren't having any of it. They amended the budget to remove the governor's program entirely, reallocating $7.4 million back to the diaper and food banks, per the Legislative Analyst Office's recommendation before passing the budget. And then they had a budget bill junior, and that money was added back in. I'm sorry to say this, and he'll deny it, but he lied. This is a way of funneling money to his allies. Oh, we're doing a good thing. Yeah, they're taking, a percentage off the top. Well, it's dishonest as all get out. The administration told lawmakers diaper banks would be able to competitively bid for the contract. Instead of a competitive bid, the state issued a request for information which says it is not a solicitation. So the administration went before lawmakers, and that link there goes to a budget hearing. Video of a budget hearing provided by Cal Matters, thank you, where they say, oh yeah, it's going to be there's going to be competitive bidding for this. And then they turn around and they do a request for information, which is not a solicitation. And several respondents, including one of the nation's largest diaper bank networks, say they didn't get an interview or they felt they weren't seriously considered. Of course you weren't seriously considered. This was cover for giving money to one of Gavin Newsom's wife's allies. The state released a diaper contract and competitive bid scoring records to CBS California Investigates 66 days after it received our Public Records Act request and 70 days after the governor announced the contract. Not competitively bid in the state's own words. says it's exempt by policy other. Pressed to explain the contradiction with the governor's announcement, a spokesperson to the team competitive refers to the competitive nature of the state's request for information, adding the exemption provided flexibility to deliver on the project at the scale needed to serve Californians. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the companies that responded to the request for information was Amazon. Does anyone doubt that Amazon has the flexibility to deliver on the project at the scale needed to serve Californians? It's an absolute, it's not like, oh, we're weeding out, me, who would order from Amazon, then reship it and whatnot, and take something off the top. They didn't consider Amazon. I mean, you can hate on Amazon all you want, but the idea that Amazon doesn't qualify under flexibility to deliver the project on scale needed to serve Californians is an absolute joke. A May Senate budget hearing, the department's own chief deputy director described what the exemption really does. It allows you to essentially engage in negotiated contracting outside of state rules, because the formal biz process can be cumbersome and time-consuming. Amazon could have done it like that. Governor's office response sent after publication. This is an inaccurate representation of the RFI process. Bull. The process was still competitive, receiving 15 applicants who were judged on multiple factors, including diaper cost for implementation, existing infrastructure for manufacturing, distributing, and other significant considerations. The governor was referring to the process being competitive in nature, which remains accurate. Let's go back.
We were able to get an appropriation in a year or so ago, went through a competitive bidding process, and here we are making this announcement.
Lie! He didn't say he said a competitive bidding process. He was referring to the process being competitive in nature. No, he was referring... I got a whole section in my book when fact checkers do this. They'll change definitions. And, some of you may have seen it, got some retweets and whatnot on Twitter last week. But there was this Dua Lipa. I don't know if that's how her name's pronounced. I've seen it. I've never heard it pronounced. She is a singer, actress. Saw her in a movie once. She's very attractive, but she has created this library in Portugal of banned books. Every single one of those books, banned books, has sold millions of copies. I'd like to mention right now my book, right there, Fact Checking Frauds, has been banned from the rest of the house. My wife wants all copies of it in my office. It has been banned. Dua Lipa has not contacted me about obtaining copies for her library, but apparently that's the way to sell books. You should buy my book. But I mention this because, if you want to find out what's banned, find out what you can't buy. Every single one of those banned books, just about, you can get on Amazon. Certainly every one in her library you can get on Amazon. What can't you get? What is banned? Try buying an incandescent light bulb, because that is banned. So it's lies. Not surprising. The normal way to skip a bid and what happened instead. Skipping a competitive bid isn't necessarily improper. State rules allow a handful of legal exemptions, including in cases of an emergency contract or for a product that only one company makes. Lots of companies make diapers. But that path comes with strings. Agency must justify the no-bid deal to the Department of General Services, and approved exemptions are publicly posted. 474 of them since 2018. The diaper contract, surprise, took a different path entirely. Why would that be? Well, it's because the goal was to enrich some of the governor's buddies. One sentence in the 893-page budget. The Budget Act of 2025 contains a single-purpose provision exempting diaper access initiative contracts from the competitive bidding law, from public advertising of the bid, and from the review or approval of any division of Department of General Services, the state's contract watchdog. Why would you do this? What possible reason would there be for diaper access initiative contracts to be exempted from that? No bid required, no watchdog review, no entry in the public no bid database, the only public trace, one coding line in a contract registry most Californians have never heard of. And here's how it got there. The department proposed the free diaper program in its January 2025 budget, which never described a competitive process, saying only the state would identify a partner. The exemption itself appeared in the budget bill in late June. 3 days later, it was law. This is corruption, ladies and gentlemen. This is insider dealing. You want to know why you can't get ahead in the business world? Well, some of it's this. If you're a diaper manufacturer, this was done for his buddies. This was done for his wife's friends. Why? I mean, you want it, and I know some of you are going to post, some of you are going to say this, but Trump. Yeah, Trump does this sort of crap too. The federal government does this sort of crap too. It's bad. We shouldn't allow it. Everybody who defends this should be recalled or voted out of office. I mean, this is frankly embarrassing. But, here we're going to take our taxpayer dollars, which we still have a structural deficit. Oh, they balanced the budget. Well, we've got a structural deficit. They took a bunch of one-time monies and played some little, accounting tricks. So Newsom could say, yeah, I succeeded. No. He pushed it off on the next guy. He pushed it off on Becerra. I'd like to say he pushed it off on Hilton. It's going to be Becerra because the government of California, the people of California have not suffered enough. More pain is required before they get rid of this delusion that Democrats, single party rule of Democrats, is a good idea. Diaper banks lost their funding and were promised a shot. The free diaper program came at a cost to California's existing diaper banks. The governor's 2025 budget proposal eliminated their traditional funding and replaced it with a new statewide program. When lawmakers asked what would happen to them, state officials said at a budget hearing the diaper banks would be able to bid. Lie! No competitive bid process ever happened. In June, lawmakers suspended the budget to remove the governor's program entirely, reallocated the back to the 11 named diaper banks and food banks. They passed that budget with no funding for the governor's program, only after closed-door negotiations. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. And here's an indication they know that this is a joke. This year, lawmakers more than doubled the diaper bank's funding, $16.5 million to the same 11 organizations. That means the diaper bank's allocation this year is now larger than $12.5 million appropriated for the next phase of baby-to-baby program itself. The difference, diaper banks are named in law in plain sight. It's corruption, ladies and gentlemen. It's corruption. It's like we're still funding the diaper banks. Those are for poor people. Those are for people who can't afford it. Definitely. I mean, personally, I'd prefer if we had charities and whatnot. If taxes were lower and charities stepped into, and I'm sure some of them do. I mean, I'm sure that the government money for these diaper banks is not the only money they get to operate. This is a good charity to donate to. I'm all for it. But this was a way to get some of his friends some money. It's like, oh, so-and-so's on. I mean, I can imagine the dinner table conversation. Oh yeah, so-and-so's on my board, and we had a meeting today, and she was talking to me about her baby-to-baby diapers and getting them to people, and it's a great charity or nonprofit. It's not a charity; it's a nonprofit. There's a difference. People get paid quite a bit in nonprofits. Yeah. Instead of a bid, the state posted this request for information, seeking input from diaper manufacturers. The document itself says it is not a solicitation, clarifying it was issued for information and planning purposes only. Responses cannot be accepted to form binding contract. Any pricing will not be considered a proposal or a bid. The state says organizations responded. The department said it evaluated them, interviewed some, and negotiated a contract with Baby to Baby. Director said it was a robust, meaningful process. Yes, to get the money to one of Gavin Newsom's wife's pals. Same approach was used for the state's Cal RX insulin and naloxone programs. I believe that's the stuff for the the fentanyl overdoses. Here's what the state hasn't explained. What did the bid scoring sheets it promised release actually score? The RFI published no evaluation criteria. Convenient, because the process, here's the thing. Newsom's got a big ego. All politicians do. If he hadn't had the press conference, if he just shut up about the whole thing, his buddies would have got their grift. They would have got their money. He could talk about the program, but no, he wants competitively bid. He lied. While diaper banks were encouraged to apply, CBS California Investigates spoke with several respondents who say they either weren't given an interview or did not feel they were seriously considered. If you've applied for a job, you know what that feels like. Not getting the callback's one thing, and you can tell usually from the interview, sometimes they're just, checking boxes. One of the nation's largest diaper bank networks told CBS California it responded to the RFI and never got an interview. When they inquired, they were told there were no updates. Several applicants said they only learned they were out of the running when the governor announced the baby-to-baby partnership at the May press conference. Under a traditional competitive bid, losing bidders are notified. It'd be nice if they did that with job applications too. I'm talking about everybody in that. I'm not bitter about anything like that, but yeah. They can request the scoring sheets. They can protest. Under this process, there was never legally a bid or scoring criteria, so there was nothing to process. And then CBS Investigates goes into the timeline on this. They requested the bid records May 12th. The state took 24 days to confirm they're public and disclosable, and then delayed publication 3 times. The final delay came at 5:09 p.m. on July 3rd, a Friday. This is what they do. To be clear, our fact check found Baby to Baby is a highly rated charity. Its newest filing shows the co-CEOs earning under $70,000 a year. Yeah, because they don't need it. I guess that's a good thing. Places like the Red Cross and whatnot, some of these other, you're better off giving money to Salvation Army than the Red Cross generally, because their CEOs make mid to high six figures. That's not uncommon. They end with, however, the question is bigger than diapers. Should the state be exempting more than $1 billion in contracts from competitive bids and public oversight? And if the governor hadn't called this one competitive, would anyone have ever checked? Answers, probably no. Okay. It's one of the kind of complaints I often have with regard to the death of newspapers is there's not people looking at this. It's a good thing. Again, if Newsom hadn't held that press conference, I doubt anyone would have taken a second glance at this. But he's got to get up there, beat his chest. Yeah, I'm a good guy. I'm doing this stuff. I'm spending your money on no bid contracts going to my wife's friends. That's all I got today. Ladies and gentlemen, please follow me on the various social media things. Appreciate it. I am doing a lot of the vertical shorts. Those things are less than 2 minutes, less than 3 minutes. Most of them are, 2-ish. Encourage you to check those out. Follow me. Those are easiest, I think, in my personal view, to watch on Facebook. So that Hoystory.com on Facebook. YouTube's got them too. Follow me on it. Just follow me everywhere. Tell your friends about my book. QR code for that's there. You can just hit that with your phone. It's Kindle, paperback, hardback, audio book. Yeah. Anybody's got any job openings for social media or video or print or writing, contact me. Because I still don't have enough people following me on Substack who want to pay. Be nice if we eventually got to that point. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful week.